My grandmother picked up my phone at the dinner table and started reading my texts out loud. I was 17, and I had a rule. The rule was that nobody in my family found out about Marcus until I decided they would. I'd spent months building a wall around that one part of my life. I kept his contact saved under a fake name. I muted our chat during dinner. I even practiced looking bored when my mom asked who I was texting. The wall held right up until Thanksgiving. We were all crammed around the table, aunts and uncles and my little cousins, the whole loud crew. My phone was face up next to my plate, which was mistake number one. It buzzed. Grandma Rosa, who was 79 and could not read a screen without saying every word aloud, reached over and grabbed it before I could move. "Who is this?" she said, squinting. "It says, 'Can't wait to see you tomorrow.'" I keep thinking about last weekend. The whole table went quiet. My fork was still in my hand. I remember the exact sound of my uncle setting down his glass. "It's from someone named Marcus," Grandma said, still squinting, totally unbothered. Heart emoji. 2 of them. I could feel my face going hot. My mom looked at me. My dad looked at his plate. My Aunt Diane, who never missed a chance to make a comment, opened her mouth, and I just knew whatever came out of it was going to be the thing I remembered forever. I wanted to grab the phone and run. I actually thought about it. Instead I sat there frozen, 17 years old, listening to my heartbeat in my ears while my grandmother held my whole secret in her wrinkled hands. For a second nobody said anything. Then my Aunt Diane laughed, this short, sharp laugh, and said, "Well, that explains a few things, doesn't it?" That's when my mom stood up. I thought she was going to yell. My mom is not a yeller usually, but I'd never given her a reason like this before. She walked around the table, and I braced myself, and she took the phone out of Grandma's hand real gentle, and she set it face down in front of me. "That's his, Mama," she said to my grandmother. "You don't read someone else's phone." Then she looked at me, and I couldn't read her face at all. She said, "Come help me in the kitchen." I followed her out of the dining room on legs that didn't feel like mine. In the kitchen she turned on the faucet, loud, so nobody could hear us, and she leaned against the counter and folded her arms. "So," she said, "Mom, I was going to tell you," I started. I swear I was. I just wanted it to be the right time and it was never the right time and then Grandma just, "Hey." She held up a hand. "Breathe." I breathed. "Sort of. How long have you known?" she asked. "About Marcus or about me?" "Either." "Both." "Marcus, since spring." "Me, I don't know." "A long time." "Years." She nodded slowly, like she was doing math. Then she did something I did not expect. Her eyes got shiny and she looked away, out the little window over the sink, at the dark backyard. "Years," she repeated. "You've been carrying this by yourself for years." "I didn't want anything to change," I said. "I didn't want you to look at me different." She was quiet for a second. Then she said, "The only thing I'm upset about is that you thought you had to hide in your own house. That's on me, not you. I must have made it feel like you couldn't tell me." I honestly did not know what to say to that. I'd built this whole disaster scenario in my head where she cried and asked what she did wrong and got all religious about it. I had a script ready for a fight. I did not have a script for my mom blaming herself for making me feel unsafe. "You didn't do anything," I said. "I was just scared." "Okay," she said, "then let's not be scared. Who's Marcus? Is he good to you?" That's the only question I actually care about. Before I could answer, the kitchen door swung open and my grandmother shuffled in, holding my phone out in front of her like it was a small animal she'd found in the yard. "I'm sorry, mijo," she said. "I didn't know it was private. In my day the phone was on the wall and everyone heard everything anyway." She patted my cheek with her cold little hand. "This Marcus, he better come to Christmas. I want to see if he's tall enough for you." And that broke something open in me, because I laughed. I laughed so hard my eyes watered, and then I was crying a little for real, the good kind, the kind that comes out when you've been holding your breath for years and someone finally tells you that you can stop. The rest of the night was not a movie. I want to be honest about that. My dad barely said 2 words to me for the rest of the evening, and I spent most of dessert convinced he was ashamed of me. My cousin Tyler, who's 12, kept asking gross questions until his mom told him to knock it off. Aunt Diane made one more comment on her way out about how kids figure themselves out these days awful fast, and I had to just let it slide off me. But then, around 10, when everyone was pulling coats on and finding their car keys, my dad came and found me by the front door. He put his hand on my shoulder, kind of stiff, like he wasn't sure how, and he said, "I don't really know how to talk about this stuff. I'm gonna probably say it wrong. But you're my kid, that doesn't move." And then he squeezed my shoulder once and went to warm up the car, and that was the whole conversation, and it was somehow enough. I texted Marcus that night from my bed. I told him the wall came down at Thanksgiving and it wasn't even me who knocked it over, it was a 79-year-old woman with reading glasses and no filter. He asked if I was okay. I looked at that word, okay, for a long time before I answered. I told him I was better than okay. I told him I felt about 10 pounds lighter and also weirdly exhausted, like I'd run somewhere far. He said that sounded right. He said coming out is running a race you didn't sign up for, and then everybody wants you to smile at the finish line. Marcus did come to Christmas, by the way. He was, in fact, tall enough. Grandma Rosa approved. She told him, in front of everybody, that he had a kind face and that he should always let me win small arguments so I stay in a good mood. My dad shook his hand and talked to him about cars for 45 minutes, which is my dad's actual love language. I still think about how much time I spent building that wall. All those muted chats, the fake contact name, the bored face I practiced in the mirror. I thought the wall was protecting me. Turns out it was mostly just keeping me lonely inside my own family. I'm not saying it goes like this for everyone. I know it doesn't. I got lucky in a way a lot of people don't, and I don't take that for granted. But if you're sitting on a secret right now, building your own wall, brick by careful brick, I just want to tell you what I wish someone had told me. Sometimes the wall isn't as necessary as you think. Sometimes the people on the other side of it are already holding the door open, waiting for you to walk through. Would you have wanted your grandmother to read it out loud, or would you have needed to say it yourself? Because I still can't decide which way I'd pick.